Zillow? Redfin? Who dey? Here on the A-list. Ah, yes, one of the most wonderful parts of being a real estate agent, having to hear about Zillow and Redfin all the time. Hearing what people tell me that they saw or heard on Zillow or Redfin, it enrages me, it makes me laugh, it makes me cower in fear occasionally, but I'm not really scared of you, Zillow, and I'm not really scared of you, Redfin, so y'all can come for me. You know where to find me. This is my basement. Yeah, I'm not scared because there are some things that you as consumers really need to know about Zillow and Redfin, both from the buying and the selling perspective. Let's get into my top 5 gripes about Zillow and Redfin. Gripe number 5. I will be laying in my bed, casually tuning into an episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, really wondering what's going on with Lisa Vanderpump and all the gang there, when all of a sudden I get a text message from a buyer who says, "Allie, drop everything you're doing. I need to see this house. It's listed as a pre-foreclosure on Zillow." Ugh. And then a part of me dies. Why? Because pre-foreclosure isn't a thing. It is not a real term. It's a little term that Zillow has coined saying that somebody missed a mortgage payment. That's it. It doesn't mean that it's in foreclosure. It doesn't mean that it's a short sale. It doesn't mean anything. It just kind of puts a person on blast for not paying their mortgage. That sucks.
Rude.
It's totally rude. And not only that, but you can't go and see the house because there's people still living in there. Like maybe the check didn't get there on time. Like maybe, who knows? Maybe they had a rough month, but you can't go see a pre-foreclosure. There are people still very much living in that house. Pre-foreclosure is not a thing. It's just not. Gripe number 4. On other evenings, I'll be laying in my bed watching RuPaul's Drag Race. And all of a sudden I get a text message, "Allie, I gotta see this house." And it's on Zillow, and it's not for sale. What do you mean it's not for sale? Zillow sucks at updating their website. You could be looking at a house, falling in love with it as you're clicking through the pictures, and not only is that house not currently active, it isn't even currently under contract. It could have been sold and the people walked away with the keys 2 days ago, but Zillow still has it as active. Why? Because they suck like that. Sorry, not sorry. The best websites that I would use are HomeSnap. That's an app that is updated every 2 hours, so it's very current. And also www.alleyvrealty.com, also updated absolutely almost hourly from the MLS. That's what the realtors use. Zillow and Redfin, they just can't keep up with it. They can't keep up. Why? Because we too good. We too good. Gripe number 3. A few years ago, I had a seller who would call me every morning at 9:20 to ream me out because she was trying to find her house on Zillow and she couldn't find it. And that somehow was my fault. It is not my fault. It is Zillow's fault. And if you're a seller, sometimes your listing just disappears. There's not a whole lot that I can do. We can try and use their technical support. They're not very quick on that, but it's kind of up to them. And as we've seen in the past couple examples, they ain't that great. So if you're a seller and you can't find your house on Zillow, I'm sorry, Zillow did that to you. You should be mad. Gripe number 2. And this word really just chills me to my very core. Zestimate. Oh my gosh, but Zillow says my house is worth this amount. But I looked that house up on Zillow and it said it was worth that amount. Let me just ask you a question. Do you use WebMD as your doctor? No, right? You have a primary care physician, and if you do use WebMD as your doctor, you're a paranoid and you definitely are always thinking you have a disease, right? There's no way to know exactly what your house is worth unless you've been inside, and that's why you need a real human, flesh and blood realtor to come in and give you an estimate, not a zestimate. Gripe number 1. But will list my house for 1% commission. That's great for Actually, it's not, because they don't make any money. That's terrible for you. I like to think of agents versus full-service agents, such as myself, in the context of Amazon. Let's say you decide you want to go on Amazon and you want to buy a crock pot, right? And you're like, I just really want a cheap crock pot. I don't care kind of what it does. I just want the cheapest crock pot I can find. But then you start looking at the cheapest crock pot you can find and you see how many stars. And then you're like, I don't want it to catch my entire house on fire. That is one thing that I don't want. I also kind of would like it to heat my food, like at some point. That would be great. And then all of a sudden you realize, you know what? I'm going to invest the extra $10, $15 because I'm going to go with the Amazon's Choice that has 4.5 stars and 17,000 reviews and really looks like a solid buy. That's what I want to go for. That's what you get when you get a full-service agent. Just Google for listing your house and see the amount of stars that they get. I'll wait. Damn! I know, man, it's bad, right? It's bad. Why? Because they're just trying to do a volume game. They're not putting in the personal attention that you get when you get someone like me who goes out and does creative, unorthodox things to get people into houses. That's what we do as agents. Definitely keep all of this in mind because Zillow is coming out with some new services, and because Zillow is kind of like the big name, people think, oh, okay, I can trust them. And honestly, if you're the #1 home searching website in the nation and you can't even keep an accurate inventory, I'm not sure I'm gonna mess with you. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. Not sorry. So just to recap, Zillow and Redfin, while they are free resources, are definitely get what you pay for resources. When you work with a real agent, a real boss such as myself, you don't just get a transaction, you get the full service, start to finish. I'll friend you on Facebook when I see you're going through a hard time. I'll make you food, I'll send you a gift, I'll send you love. To quote School of Rock, you've touched me, and I think I've touched you too. In the heart, only. Tune in next week when we talk to my man 50 grand, Matt Bagby with Viking Inspections, and you get to hear all about the home inspection process. Now, if you've never purchased a home, that might seem really boring to you, but if you have, or if you're thinking about it, it's super important and you're gonna find it really interesting. Also, just Matt's my boy, UHS, what? Can't wait for you to see it here on the A-List.